Okay, part 2. 4:30 p.m. West Coast time, still the 30th of June 2024. The last video was telling you about Google Maps and where bureaucracy is to get life support if you're homeless or almost getting to that point. So, I had you, Reverend, sorry about this one, Quake. I had you go through this thing to show you something. The bureaucracy that we have to deal with out here in Antelope Valley. Now, this is mostly LA County. Kern is a different animal altogether. Yeah, I'm not putting you through that one there. Not just yet, anyway. So, I wanted to show you this area of bureaucracy that we had to deal with here. Now, in this section where you have East Avenue K8, and then you would have 5th Street on the right-hand side, which would have been east side of things, and a smaller street called East Avenue K10, and then Marketplace. And you have maybe one or two county buildings located in that area. This is the hub concerning about getting your food stamp card. Ta-da! The coveted card. The coveted card. This is California on there too. Get your account number on there. Get your, I'll say the card number's on there, already printed up. But also your documentation number on there that puts you into the system for California for food. And if you're part of the cashade, part of Los Angeles County, guess what? You depend upon that damn card. Part of the language. So, I'm scrolling closer and closer into this nightmare on Elm Street. You're going to ask me, why are you doing this, John? Because I'm getting upset stomachs just by watching this thing because I had been through this area. Now, on the left-hand side, actually, yeah, on the west side of the GR building is Public Works. I mean, this is pure county area that you got administration and services being rendered left and right for Antelope Valley. This is the hub. I wanted to show you the nightmare that we all had to go through. And let me explain this one. Let me explain this. Okay. You have to get there way early in the morning. The place opens up at 8 o'clock in the morning, but you would have to get there about 6 o'clock in the morning. Okay? Reverend Ed Trevors, you're now part of Los Angeles County. You just got here. Setting up a scenario for you. You just got here with your family. You have no place to live. You have an issue. Your accounts are not giving you enough credit for anything at this point. You cannot find housing. But worse off, your accounts, your financials are saying, whoops, only enough to get a Twinkie. What do you do? Family or friends would have been one of the choices, right? Oops, I'm sorry, Reverend. Do you have any family or friends out here in Southern California? Do you actually have them out here? Do you actually have a place to sleep? What? You came here through your camper? And you had issues back where you came from and your passport tells you something else? But let's just say we throw out the Canadian situation. Say, for example, you came across the East Coast to the West Coast because you were trying to find something to go to, maybe a particular job that was happening, and it fell through. You depended upon it. You traveled across the country with your family, with your dog. It took you weeks, and how much did that cost you to do? And then how many times did the car happen to break down and get repaired and moved on? Until finally, your car is nearly at death's door. It's worse. Because now you're at death's door. You just don't know where to go. Maybe there had been contacts out there that told you if you had gone to maybe one of their churches, they'll try to give you some information. Maybe some of the churches are saying, "We're full up. We can't take any more. I'm sorry, Father. We have no place for you just yet. We cannot even give you a few bucks to keep that gas thing going." But you've been here for a short time. Perhaps the County of Los Angeles can try to assist you on this one. Here's the address. But I must warn you, Father. Oh, I'm sorry, Reverend. You've been defrocked. Something happened that got you defrocked. But you heard there was opportunities out here in California. Out here in Los Angeles. Maybe somewhere out in Antelope Valley. Oh, I'm sorry. Do we have an issue with that one? There's no room in the inn for you. But we'll hope that the County of Los Angeles can help you out through this one. Since you're out here and stuck. So your car almost dies, but you still have enough gas, but it still doesn't like anything. But they're telling you one thing. Get over to the county as fast as you can early in the morning. Why? You'll see why. You are encouraged to get there. You are strongly encouraged to get there around 6 o'clock in the morning. Here's the address. You're going to have a hell of a time trying to find it on Google Maps. But once you do have Google Maps, once you have power in your phone, you're seeing this. So it gets you into this area. This nondescript, beige colored building with weird ass brick masonry. They have a small shack outside of it for people to wait in. Avoid it. But if you need to, do it. There's a parking lot for people to park in. Most of the county people go in the northern end of the parking area. The rest of the people go to the southern area. Okay? Or let's just redraft the scenario here, okay? You're residents of Antelope Valley, of California, okay? Easier than being out of state. You've been laid off from a job. You can't get any jobs. Your occupation isn't bringing up anything. Your contacts are drying up. But you still need to feed your family. Speaking of which, here she comes. Mama, speaking about my family, I'm waiting for it to cool off so I can get her outside a little bit. Still hot as hell outside. Whatever the reason is at this point, you're there at the mercy of Los Angeles County. Of course, it gets worse downtown, Los Angeles. I don't know the territories all that well for the county, but out of Antelope Valley, I've been dealing with it more and more. So bear with me here. So you've ended up, and now you're parked. Now you're wondering why you're here. And then you start seeing a few people start walking and stopping in front of the door. Okay? You're going to have to stay there for a while. Did you guys actually go to the restroom? They have no restrooms outside. The closest restroom that you would be able to find is on major streets, Serenity area. Of course, you're going to have to leave someone on the line while the rest of the family goes out for a restroom. I'm not kidding on this one, Reverend. This is how it goes for county. I'm going to walk you through this one. So, on the edge, let's see, on the end of Business Center Parkway southbound, when you get to the L section, if you have a few bucks left in your pocket, you're actually able to get into a store. Maybe get a couple of things for your kids to have a breakfast. A couple of cookies work and milk. There's also a restroom in there. There's a restaurant, only if you had the money for it. If you're just traveling throughout, just traveling and you got the money for it, it'd be no problem to go into the place. But when you're homeless, for me, it's always nice to get a couple of cookies and milk. You need something for breakfast, and you also need to relieve your bladder and anything else. So while that's happening, back at the ranch, you're waiting until your family comes. And you're hearing stories from people. You're hearing stories from people who have actually had jobs, lost jobs, had medical issues, and had problems trying to get back into work. You've also heard people coming out of the court system, paroled. Maybe a few homeless people out there are struggling and still want to get their food stamps. Some people have actually got problems with the paperwork. Oh, comes the fun part. A long time ago when I went through this process, and I'm going to talk to you about this one here. Everyone's got a story. They all share stories. It's the only way to keep sane. Some people will drain batteries, but they won't. Some people stay in the car. They'll get too damn hot during the afternoon, but during the morning hours when it's about 70 or 80 degrees, maybe you're okay. The little shed out there, very few people will use. It's mostly used as a garbage pit, graffiti all over the place. But you can't sit out there and not sit in filth or anything else like that, except for garbage cans are filled and they still hadn't gotten taken care of by the county place. That was years ago. I don't know how it is right now to the second though. But you wait until 8 o'clock. By that time, you've already noticed there must have been about 50 people in line stretching around the corner. It's going south and just turning the corner a bit, or they're extending a little bit. You're probably number 2 or 3 in line, and your family is waiting. So, 8 o'clock, here comes security. Now, they may or may not have county workers coming out to do informative interviews, letting people know what's going on. They may have changed the things around to let you know what you need and how to direct you, because they want to make it a little bit more efficient than they had in the previous years. And believe me, it was a nasty thing. Been through it. So you tell them that you need, you're lacking money at this point over here. You need to look for a job. So job search on that one. You're physically able still to do some work. Churches can't help you. They've been having issues at this point, but your family also needs temporary housing until you can find something. But you also need food. And you also need medical insurance. Okay, they're going to tell you how to do these things because they're going to be needing a lot of documentation from you. When you go through, they're going to put you through the orientation bit. You fill out some paperwork, you wait for your number or name to be called. You go over to some windows, unless they already did some modifications in it. But when I was over there, you go over to the window, tell them what's going on, they give you this paperwork, and you fill out a mountain of paperwork. Even for one guy, it's a mountain of paperwork I got to fill out. And you would have to come back 1 or 2 times. Because it takes time to get the paperwork. It takes time to get all the information necessary, including the financial documentation. They want to find out how broke you are. And do you own your car? Back then, they had an issue concerning about transportation. If you own a car, it means you have ways and means. They may treat you differently on that one. But if you don't have a car, if you don't have your own transportation, they'll look at you in a different way. Now, for me, I didn't have transportation. I bus. So I'll be okay on that point. But for you, on the other hand, they may treat it differently. I don't know how. I know how they treated me, single. As long as I didn't tell them that I actually had transportation or access to it, I was all right. Some things I had to admit because I didn't have the transportation. But I had a driver's license. You got a driver's license? Where's your car? Where's your vehicle? What's this? I don't have a car. But you got a driver's license. Yeah, but I don't have a car. Wait a second. You have a driver's license, but you don't have a car? Yeah, I hate driving. Then why do you have a driver's license in the first place? Why not? You would need to get a California ID card. No, I don't, because I have a driver's license. But you know how to drive? Yeah, I know how to drive. I just don't like driving. That's why I don't have a car. I don't have insurance. How about that one? Oof. Okay, so after you're going through the paperwork and you're already sat down from the first row of windows, you sit there for about an hour, hour and a half. Yes, they do have restrooms in there. Yes, you can get some water if you need to. And you'll notice that the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department has a substation in there and private security guards. You get through the system long enough, you start knowing some of these guys by name, including some of the workers. I know who to go to and not to go to. But your first time, so your name's been called. Okay, so you need to go to section such and such. Okay, so you go to section such and such. So, according to the paperwork we got over here, you're missing this information, but you have this information. What happened? We need to know. Okay, let's see the paperwork. Flip, 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 flip. Okay, you have this and you have, and the financials. You don't have that? Well, we're going to need to get this information here before anything else. If you get here before 5, trust me, you don't get there before 5. You get there next morning, early in the morning. Well, what do I do about the food stamps? I need to get some food stamps. Well, We'll load up a card for you temporarily for your food and your family. Okay, what about the financial? Well, what about the money? Well, we need to find out more about your bank account. I can show you the information on my phone. We need the paperwork. Amazon. Okay, we'll do the Amazon in the next second here. So you got the paperwork that you already handed in, but you don't have the financial. So now we're doing that, aren't we? Sorry, I got distracted here. Replacement water bottles. Anyway, I had to talk to people before I went to county of what they needed. I had to talk to people who had been through the experience, so I would be prepared for it. I'm putting you through the scenario where you are a beginner, Reverend. Or shall I say, or call you Mr. Trevors. My name is Mr. Weaver. I really don't work for the County of Los Angeles in any way, form, or fashion, so this is my copyright notice and disclaimer here. I work for this department over here, and I've noticed that the paperwork that you have is incomplete. Now, you say you're broke, but you don't have any financial information. Is there any way you can find your bank stubs? Excuse me, you don't have any bank stubs? Well, do you have access to your bank information? Oh, come on. Surely you have an ATM card. Fine, you got an ATM card, which means you have a bank account. But it closed. Do you remember the bank name? Maybe they have a branch out here. Well, we have branches all over the United States. Which particular branch? Which particular... Oh, it's one of them. Okay. Well, you're just going to have to find an AT. You're just going to have to find a terminal to get the information printed. Okay, let's see how we're going to do this. Either you can go to the library and get the information free. We don't have the services available here for now. At least not for the newcomers, anyway. But if you're going through a worksite program, once you completed our first orientation day, they will allow you to go to the computer, but you still need to get that information. Well, there's other places out here in Antelope Valley that you may have to go to or go through that'll have the computer information. Do you have anybody that you know of has a computer and a printer? Not have any. See, we need the hard copy information here, Mr. Trevors. There's one particular place I know of, and it's the county library in Lancaster. They're located on close to Sierra Highway and by the Lancaster Boulevard, right by the LA County Sheriff's Department over there. I think they're open right now. If you would go over there, you can get the information. Maybe you can come on back for it. But we need to have that hard copy, so. You don't have any money for the printouts. Well, if you'd log in with them, I'm sure you'll be able to get the information. They'll allow up to a certain level of pages, and we just need at least 3 months' worth of bank statements. That's all. How would I say? Okay, so you're like... Okay, so you barely got a few cents left in your pocket, huh? Maybe a buck or two if you're lucky. You're scratching your head how to get this stuff. There are other places I'll be charging per cents on this one, per pages at this point. But when I was going there and going under the LA County, I would have to go to the county library to get the information printed up. Unless, of course, I've actually had access to somebody else with a printer that I can actually get the information pulled up that way. And I had to go through the bank information. Now, if you actually had access to a bank out here, to one of the branches, and you would ask them, they may charge you a few cents on that, or maybe a buck or two, but they would give you the information. Now, I'm saying this that you would have to go the next day because it gets crazier in the afternoon. So they may have changed their work styles at this point. But when I was going there, you had to go back the next morning with your paperwork. It's a lot easier going through it in the morning than it is for the afternoon. Trust me on that one. So, however you did it, God work in a miracle at this point, Mr. Trevors. No longer Reverend, you're just Mr. Trevors at this point. But you have a case number now. You have paperwork. You're in the system, but not quite fully. So when you go through the door, you go through the... Did I ever tell you that you had to go through a metal detector? You had to take care of everything? Here's the humiliating part about the whole situation. You had to take care of every piece of metal, and you have to account for every piece of metal on you. That includes if you got a belt, take it off. If you got suspenders, you have them shown. If you have stuff in your pocket, put them in a hat and hold on to it. That includes your cell phone. You make sure that you're ready to go through there without taking about a half an hour to get through the damn line or the machines over there. Because LA County during that time, and it was a long while ago, but that's a process, I'll tell you. And then you go through it, and you say that you need, at the information desk, that you have this information over here that you need to give them. Okay, so go over here and wait for your name to be called, sir. Okay, so the word's been passed off, and you wait. And then they call your name. It may take about a few minutes. It may take about a half an hour or an hour. Meanwhile, your family's probably brought in again. So you have to have them shown to the clerk. Oh! Hello again, Mr. Trevors. I am your case manager for this time. I am the intake worker. I should have identified myself as an intake worker. Okay, so now you have the financial information. Let's see. Hmm. Okay, that's how it happened. Okay, now we got to check it off. Okay, seems to be big more so cared. We got into the supervisors. They're pounding things up left and right on this one here. Okay, cool. Okay, now if you'll be so kind, go back into the waiting room and wait for your name to be called. We're going to get you through the process here. You're going to get photocopied. Actually, you're going to get your face scanned and your fingerprint scanned. Then you'll be issued your card. But I need the money in it. Yes, we're going to take care of the money situation. You're going to get such and such amount, and here's the paperwork for that. I have a copy of all the paperwork that you sent in, so here's the stack. And just wait. You're going to get X amount of money because of how many people you've got depending upon you. Now remember, for mine, let's see. You go through the room, you get your face, you get a click. Okay, well, what? Okay, that's it. Put your thumb over here, put your fingers on here. Neat. Okay, you're in the system. Okay, go outside and wait for your card. You go to the cashier section. Wait for their name being called. What about job training? Ah, okay. Now, that's a different story altogether. You're going to have to go to the other side of the building, which is still inside. I mean, you go through the front door, and on the left-hand side, unless they change everything else around, that's the process to get the food and the green. Center area, we got cashier area, process intake. You would have the bathroom. You would have sheriffs, but also the area to get your photograph. But then down a long corridor, that's to the south end of the building, is where the work. That's where the work sites are. Now this area gets you into the system where you're going to be looking for work. You're going to be going to the place nearly every single day looking for work. Uh, just go through the job sections, left and right, get contact information. They allow you to do this. They allow you to use whatever resources you got to find stuff, including posts that they keep putting up on their bulletin boards. Yeah, actually, back then they actually had paper and bulletin boards, cork boards. And you would see these job fairs. But it's basically a job search area out there. So you go over there as if you're going in for a job interview. And they'll give you all the resources necessary to find the jobs out there if they are registered within the state of California or at least within the government. Or if you can find one anyway. They want you to get out of the damn system. But you can stay in it for a time. But after that time, they've gotten harder and harder when it comes down for people staying in the system that long. Now, let's just say, I'm going to bump up the scenario a little bit on you, okay? Let's just say that you can't get a job because of a disability. How the hell you think I've been feeling ever since I got out of Blue Cross? I had a disability. My brain was going fraught. But I had to go to doctors. And yeah, after Walmart, I had to go through the system there just for food and stuff. Yeah, here's the thing. Once you're in the system, every 3 or 4 months, well, actually every 3 months, you have to fill out one particular form that you have to keep qualifying for the food, and every 4 months for the cash aid. You still have to stay within the county of Los Angeles. They would prefer you spending the money in the state of California, actually within the county of Los Angeles. For the food, you can go anywhere within the state of California to get food. But they much prefer you using the county bucks in the county. Isn't it fun? I couldn't tell you. The last day when I actually got out of there, out of the county system, I actually had Social Security disability kick in, and I turned in the paperwork to them. That was a relief. But earlier than that, this is what really kicked me out of the system. When I moved up to Roseman in the Kern, take care of Dave. Yeah. I hate bureaucracy, especially when you have to deal with the food and stuff. Once you're on Social Security disability, I found you're no longer part of the county system, except you are part of the county system just for food aid. But it all depends about how much you're getting out of Social Security disability is how much they're going to give you at this point. Now, this information, I am putting it on the unlisted and sending it over to you, okay? Trust me, years ago I did this. Almost got myself chewed out on that one. But it's still out there. Hadn't been taken down. It's somewhere buried. But these videos I'm sending over to you, unlisted, is safer that way for me. Because I don't want the County of Los Angeles getting after my ass on this one. Trust me, it's humiliating and embarrassing. Oh, I didn't tell you about Medi-Cal. Next video.